welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about an actual deal that was brought to me, and we're going to evaluate it. We're going to look at it from a 1% rule because it's one of the first times this particular investor has seen the 1% rule. So we're going to dive deep, figure out is it a good deal? Should we take it down? Should we not take it down? And what are some ways that we can actually look at this particular property to make more money and be satisfied with ultimately our investment? Let's jump right into it. So let's get started. This is a particular property that we look at. This property is located in Houston, Texas, right outside of Houston. It's a little suburb. It's actually going to be Kingwood, Texas. But looking at this particular property, these are the numbers, right? Our all-in purchase price is around $220,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It's going to take 20% to put down on this thing with actual financing that we're doing it. We're buying it right off the MLS. It's not a crazy deal. It's not anything off the market. It's going to cash flow $500 monthly once we put 20K down, right? Once we put 20K down, it's going to cash flow $500 monthly. So not bad from a rental perspective. It meets the 1% rule. Now, what are some things that we look at when we look at the 1% rule? Number one, we want to look at factors. We want to look at appreciation. We want to figure out, is this an area where it goes up in value every year, right? So just want to write these down. One thing we look at is appreciation. Just want to abbreviate that. Appreciation right there is one thing we look at. Number two, we look out the layout, the floor plan, right? 322. This property is a 322, meets that criteria. And 322 is just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Right, the first number is the bedroom, middle number is bathroom, and then last number is garage. So it's a 322. The reason why we always go with 322 is because we want to make sure that a working class neighborhood or a working family, husband and wife, multiple kids can come in and have a place and they call it home. Right, so that's why we always look at this and say a 322. So it matches that. Number 3, school districts. How are the schools in this particular area? School district. Right, schools are pretty good. Kingwood is known for some great schools, low crime, right? Great, nice little area, suburban, like I said, in Dallas. Outside of Houston, but everything fits the criteria for the 1% rule. Now, the only knock on this is I would say we're buying it off the MLS, right? So if we would have went directly to seller, we probably could have saved some money somewhere if we didn't go directly to the MLS. But the one good thing that you guys don't know about this property, and it's already been renovated. It's already been renovated. Renovated already. So when we're talking about this particular property, do it make sense to keep it as a cash flow and rental property? Where rents in the area around $2,200 a month. It's a 1% rule. We got to put 20 grand to the table, right? And it's going to cash flow $500 monthly. $500 monthly is $6,000 a year. $6,000 typically it's going to take us $6,000 for 3.5 years until we have all our 20 grand back out of it. So this is why you look at this play and you want to make sure the appreciation is good, because say for instance, nothing goes wrong. Everything works out. Everything pans out great, right? In 3 years, it's worth $220, right? In 3 years, it's probably going to be worth closer to $230, $240, $250, which we capture a little bit of equity in that particular play, right? So that works in our favor, right? That's something that benefits us when it's worth about 30, 40, 50 grand more. When we're talking about in the next 3 years, that's always going to work in our favor. So it's appreciating. The layout is good. The cash flow is at $500 a month. But this is the one thing we was looking at when we dissected the deal. Do we want to put 20K? Do we want to take 20K, put it into a property that only cash flow $500 a month? Right? Is that a good deal? I'll be honest with you. Looking at this particular deal, I would be more advantageous to just do an owner finance, right? Take 10% down. I put 20%. And then I mark it up, and then I turn around and wrap the note. That's what I would be more advantageous to do. But from a 1% rule perspective, it meets all the criteria, right? So we know that going into it, it's going to make sense for us to actually take this particular property down. Now our question mark is $500 monthly. That's where we really want to get to. Is that a good idea? I'll be honest, if you're only making $500 monthly on a rental property, it's still good money, but would I take 20 grand to do it? I don't know, but this is one thing I want you to look at from a perspective of a landlord or potential landlord. I want you to look at 500 cash flow on a traditional rate. Well, how does it look if we go on a short-term rental, right? We talk about Airbnb. How does that look like on Airbnb? Airbnb, how does the cash flow look at it? So this is one thing that you need to look at on all 1%. I would say all 1% rentals. Look at that alternative there, because if you can cash flow some serious change with the Airbnb. Now, one thing I do like right now with the pandemic, and one thing we've seen from Airbnbs is that they're renting out, but the ones that's making the most amount of money are the ones with the pool. So if you have the pool available, a lot of those Airbnbs are the first ones to get booked right now during the pandemic, right? Because everything is slowed down. Well, Houston is not shut down for COVID, right? So people are still traveling. You still have a potential for an Airbnb. It may be one that you want to test out and try out for this particular module, especially for the first month, especially if it's not costing you any money to do something. You can put it up for Airbnb and then actually put it up for rent as well. After the first 30 days, if you're not getting any hits from rent, let's see what the Airbnb has brought in. If the Airbnb has brought something in good, that's great. If the Airbnb hasn't brought anything good, right, you want to transition it over to a long-term tenant as opposed to a short-term tenant. So that's one thing that I would definitely say, look at when you're talking about a 1% rule. Always evaluate a 1% rule from traditional rates, right? We're buying it based on what we know it'll rent for monthly, right? But since we're buying it and there's no renovations needed and it's taking 20 K out of pocket, right? We want to go ahead and put it on Airbnb. And this is a hack that I gotta let you guys know about. With Airbnb, right? When you're testing a property out, you really don't know exactly what to do. Go ahead and rent the furniture, right? Rent the furniture. That way you don't come out of pocket $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on top of the 20 grand that you already came out of pocket. Go ahead and rent the furniture from places like Aaron's, Rent-A-Center. Get you some old cheap furniture that they'll come in, drop off, and set up for you, right? You can rent the TV, you can rent the couches, the beds. You can rent literally the whole house full of furniture, and you let your Airbnb be dictated on what you rented, right? So with Aaron's, they come in, move everything, set it up. After the first 90 days, if you're not cash flowing, or after the first 30 days, if you're not cash flowing on this property, right? Maybe, hey, tell them, come back and pick up the furniture. It's not working out. We're not going to be able to do the deal. Put a traditional tenant in there, right? Now you're out of pocket, really minimum cost. It may cost you extra $600, $700, $800 to furnish that whole house, but essentially that's all it cost you. It didn't cost you 10 grand in furniture just to furnish it, and then you're saying, no, this isn't going to work. Now we go to a short-term rental, right? So that's one thing we want to look at. Another thing, I think I mentioned it earlier, but basically we're buying this house based on the $500 a month cash flow that it already brings. So make sure that when you invest based on what it's doing now. Don't invest based on what you think is going to happen in years, right? So when I say that, yeah, we see appreciation, and that always got to be a factor. But we're buying it, regardless if it's appreciation, we're buying it knowing that we're getting cash flow, right? Whether the appreciation come or not, we're buying it still with we're still buying a cash flowing property, right? So that's one thing I always want to say is just make sure that you buy, and this is just my opinion. I always want to buy based on what it's doing right now. But I learned that from a good investor that you guys may know, may not know, but Warren Buffett, right? One of the richest investors that I know that got rich basically off just investing, right? He said he buy a gas station based on what the gas station is doing, not based on what he can do for it, right? So that's the exact same thing I would say with these particular properties. But this is a 1% rule. I just wanted to break down these numbers for you guys. It came across my plate. A student of mine was actually thinking about should he buy this property, and I told him, hey, I'll be honest, it's up to what you can stomach, right? If you can stomach putting 20,000 down, right? You just sold a house, you got 60 grand somewhere. If you can stomach putting 20 grand down to get you a monthly cash flow of $500, don't sound bad, right? You get one of those a quarter, you're up to $2,000. You're up to $2,000 cash flow a month, right? You do that for 2 years, you're up to $4,000. You do that another year, you're up to 6. That is good cash flow, and before you know it, in 5 years, you're up to 10 grand, and you don't have to worry about a W-2 again. So it's a way that you can actually make money while doing a passive side, on the passive side, and it's a great way to free yourself and actually unlock the rest of it. Hey, so my name is Jordan Aubrey. I know a lot of you guys, I haven't even introduced myself. So if you're seeing this for the first time, if you're interested in real estate, investing, finances, credit, anything like that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, however, I want you to, and you're not going to subscribe, but you stay here to the end, definitely make sure you throw me a thumbs up. That helps me with my YouTube channel and get reaching more people, and I want to help. So with that being said, until next time, keep winning.